Chapter 20 of First Chronicles is such a short chapter. It has only like 8 verses only. So I'm going to read through it very quickly. I take time to read the ones that we can be able to read, and then we'll pick a lesson for today. I'm so excited by this book. It looks like it's about to come to an end, but I'm really happy about the things that we've learned in the process of it. So here is chapter 20 of First Chronicles. In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, Joab led out the armed forces. He laid waste the land of the Ammonites and went to Rabbah and besieged it. But David remained in Jerusalem. Joab attacked Rabbah and left it in ruins. I really like seeing that it's Joab fighting most of the time now, not David. But let's continue. David took the crown from the head of the king. Its weight was about a talent of gold, and it was set with precious stones, and it was placed on David's head. He took a great quantity of plunder from the city and brought out the people who were there, consigning them to labor with saws and with iron picks and axes. David did this to all the Ammonite towns. Then David and his entire army returned to Jerusalem. In the course of time, war broke out with the Philistines at Gaza. At that time, Sibbecai the Hushathite killed Sippai, one of the descendants of the Rephites, and the Philistines were subjugated. In another battle with the Philistines, Elthanan, son of Jair, killed Lami, the brother of Goliath, the Gittite, who had a spear with a shaft like a weaver's rod. You remember Goliath, yeah? So Goliath had a brother, so interesting, and his brother was called Lami. In still another battle which took place at Gath, there was a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. He also was descended from Rapha. When he taunted Israel, Jonathan, son of Shimeah, David's brother, killed him. These were the descendants of Rapha in Gath, and they fell at the hands of David and his men. Quite an interesting chapter. Short, punchy. And the key thing that I want us to see here is something that I'd actually hinted before. It is not David fighting anymore. As you can see, the only time David is mentioned in this chapter, he's adorning his crown. So the crown is already a crown. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's, has all these, jewels and everything, but he's adding gold to it. He's just going to the towns that have been conquered to pull in and take plunder. But he's not the one fighting. It's his boys. It's his men. It's no longer David fighting, right? And we're seeing such a dramatic entry here. Goliath, who David had killed, you remember, had a brother called Lami, who was also a giant, yeah? And somebody else called Elthanan killed him. And then there was this huge man, this guy who had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. You really have to be huge for God to be like, you need an extra of everything, But this guy, as big as he was actually killed by Jonathan, son of Shimeah, David's brother. It's David's nephew who takes him out. Yeah, and it's so interesting to see. And the thing that I want us to see here is the way David paved, the way the ability that David had to pave the way for other people to fight. Yeah, and I think the lesson that we find here is a lesson that I have alluded to before in one of the earlier chapters. The one thing that really we must learn to do in life is that when we fight our battles with courage, we actually lend courage to other people to fight their battles. That courage begets courage, right? When you win your battles, there's somebody else watching you who's like, gets inspired, and they get inspired and they're like, Yanni, if so-and-so can do this, maybe even me, I can do that. I feel like this is what is going on in this chapter, because these guys watched David, and David killed Goliath as they saw, and they heard the story. They heard how that happened. And they were like, if David could do that, and we serve the same God David serves, why not us? Right? And so my encouragement to you and I is this, that one thing that we really must learn to do is to fight and to face the giants in our lives. Face them with courage and resolve. You will lend courage to others around you to do the same, right? That if you win the battles that you're going through, and that maybe this is a reason why sometimes it's so good to be humble and vulnerable, to tell people the things that you're facing, the hardships you're going through in business, the hardships you're going through in your profession, in just trying to navigate the journey of your career, the hardships you're going through in the skill, the talents that God has given you, the challenges you're facing, the successes that you're winning in there, especially right now, because we have a generation, the millennial generation, the Gen Z generation, that really doesn't get fascinated when we come and tell, of all the stories of how we've won these battles. They want to engage with us and they want to listen to us when we are sharing with them how we are navigating through the challenges of life, so they can also learn how to navigate through the challenges of their lives, in their lives as well. Right? And so that's the thing. And if there's one thing we can borrow from David here, it's just this thing of modeling. It's this thing of mentoring, of mentorship, of just allowing people to learn from you. That's what we see in this chapter. David killed Goliath. Elthanan kills Goliath's brother. And then this other guy called Jonathan kills a man who was so huge. He had 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot. But why do they do this? Because they had somebody go before them and model to them what courage looks like, what resolve looks like, what depending on God looks like. We have a generation watching, we have young people watching us, we have employees in our companies and in the places we work. We have many young people who are there doing internships, who are in their first, second year of work. They're watching and they just want to see how you're navigating through the everyday challenges of your career, of the work that you do. Be vulnerable, open up, let them learn from you so they can also learn to fight their battles. That's our lesson for today. Such a blessing. I hope it blesses you. I hope you face the battles in your life with courage and resolve. God bless you. Bye.